weather like this. All right, we have another game going on, this time on Saturday, a big rivalry game out in the Pac-12. USC at the Rose Bowl to play UCLA. UCLA open 3.5 now, seems to be a solid 3. And it's a key game, too, because there are 3 teams in the Pac-12 South with just 2 losses. 2 of them are going to meet here. The other one is Arizona State at 5-2. If you like to look at revenge, UCLA just rolled all over this USC team last year, 35-14. But remember that Trojans had a different coaching staff than they do now. Trojans are 1-4 against the spread against UCLA. They haven't done very well in the Rose Bowl of late. But Steve Sarkisian has a very good team here, 7-3 straight up, 6-4 against the spread. The defense is giving up just 23.3 points per game. It's 37th in the nation. And the offense has so many talented weapons running and passing. They average over 35 points per game. And Cody Kessler, the junior, boy, what dynamite numbers this kid has. 29 touchdowns, only 3 interceptions, 70% completion. So Sarkisian was supposed to help this offense a lot, and they have been extremely good. And when you look at the 3 losses, 2 of them were just by 3 points to Utah and 4 points to Arizona. Was that Arizona State they played, or Arizona?
Arizona State. They lost out on the Hail Mary.
Oh, on the Hail Mary, that's right. Okay, so another game that they...
It's called a prayer, John.
I know all about those, especially on Saturday afternoon.
From my Catholic school days, way back a million years ago.
So, Shaun, you got a team here that, a couple of breaks, they could be sitting here at 9-1. But how do you see this USC team?
A couple of breaks, I could be in the White House, too. I mean, I don't know what that's worth. Yeah, okay, UCLA, the home team, it's -3. Probably going to stay there. No total yet. We'll see that probably tomorrow against USC. And you're right, it is a rivalry game. This is a Pac-12 South Division game. Goes at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. ABC will cover this thing. Look at some numbers here. UCLA, yeah, you're right, 8-2 straight up, but very poor against the bookie. I mean, this team in their first 8 games covered just 1. They've covered their last 2, so they're on a bit of a roll here. UCLA, not a team that wins by margins. They're 5-2 in the conference. They're a half a game behind Southern Cal, who is 6-2 in the conference. USC, big problem. I'm sorry, UCLA, big problem. No defense. You're right. Quarterback, I think his name Hundley, 17 touchdown passes, just 4 interceptions. Both of these teams run the ball for over 200 yards. Can't even talk here. Both of these teams rush the ball for over 200 yards a game. But again, that defense for UCLA gives up 28 points a game. It's tough to stay in games when you score 35 a game and give up over 28. So the winner of this game will get to go to the Pac-12 championship game, which will be played on Friday, December the 6th in Santa Clara, and lose to Oregon. Because in my opinion, Oregon will run the table and they will win this Pac-12 thing going away. And either one of these teams will be at least a touchdown underdog, in my opinion. Okay, Southern Cal. They're at 7-3 straight up. They're 6-4 against the number, which is a whole lot better. They're 3-2 straight up and against the number on the road. And you're right, they have lost the last 2 games to UCLA. I don't know about this revenge thing. I guess in college maybe it has, if they have the opportunity, they'll do it. I'm not big on it in the NBA or the NFL. But their defense only gives up 23 points a game, which is a lot better than 28. And they're getting 3 points. Here's one of these things I look at again, the average line in UCLA games. UCLA average line -10, and their average margin, however, a victory is just 7. When you add up all their wins and losses, all the margins. Southern Cal average line is also -10, but they win by 12. So the overlay would seem to be to Southern Cal. Of the better off of the 4 teams in these, when I do this thing, the better of the 4 teams on this field, in my opinion, will be the Southern Cal defense. And both teams are pretty well even on the offense. I think it's actually a fairly close game. I don't know about overtime, but the possibility is there. But I can see Southern Cal winning this game straight up by about a touchdown. So I would take the dog, and in fact, that will be my best play on the show is Southern Cal plus the 3.
All right, this UCLA team has had a good season, 8 wins and 2 losses. However, not in the Rose Bowl. Believe it or not, they're only 2-2 at home this season, and they have not been covering numbers. As Shaun mentioned, 3-7 against the spread overall. Very good offensive numbers, but defense brought in a new defensive coordinator for this season, and despite some talent, they really haven't gelled. And Jeff, I've attended a couple of these rivalry games when I was living in the LA area. It's really an electric atmosphere, and I'm sure you've been to some too.
Yeah, I'm a UCLA fan. I have to admit it. I used to work in Westwood, but this is double revenge for USC. Here's the situation for the Pac-12 South. If USC beats UCLA and Arizona State loses to either Washington State or Arizona, the Trojans win the South. If UCLA beats USC and Stanford, the Bruins win the South. So get that out of the way. But the SC defeated California 38-30. Kessler completed 31 of 42 passes for 371 yards and 4 TDs with an interception. The thing is, the Trojans had 9 penalties, which cost them 3 more touchdowns in that game. In fact, they're fourth in the country in penalties per game at 9.2. Trojans averaged 4.5 yards per carry while allowing 4.0. UCLA 4.8 yards per carry, allowing 4.1. UCLA, as Shaun said, has had a shaky season. They survived some close calls early in the year, and they ran out of luck and they lost to Utah and Oregon. But the last 4 games, they seem to straighten things out a little bit. They've won 4 in a row. 3 of those were on the road. They lead the country in red zone offense at 97%. And a lot of that is due to Brett Hundley's dual ability to pass and run well. UCLA is coming off a bye week, although it lost to Utah following its first bye week of the season. This game, I can't imagine giving USC 3 points this game with the way that you mentioned the UCLA's defense and the way they haven't been covering. So even though I'm a UCLA fan, hopefully they win by 1 or 2, but I'll take UCLA plus the points.
Well, you're really trying to fit it into a slot here.
Yeah.
You know that, right? So.
I'm also going to side with the dog, and the reasons are very similar to what Shaun said. I have not been impressed with UCLA defense. They had a lot of talent coming into the season, but it really hasn't gelled. And I like this USC defensive line. They've been very good. And the other factor is I'm not big on revenge, and with a rivalry game like this, I would put less emphasis on it. However, let's not forget that a year ago, UCLA, they stomped on the midfield pictures at the Rose Bowl in Pasadena. Yeah, the Coliseum. Yeah. They stomped all over the logos for USC, and they took selfies, and they published it out. In fact, Brent Huntley was quoted after that game as saying, hey, UCLA runs Los Angeles now, and I got to believe that's something that the juniors and seniors on this USC team are going to be talking about this week. So there's motivation on both sides, but I wonder if there'll be extra motivation after the display that UCLA did last year. So I will also side with the underdog. All right, let's get to some best bets. And Shaun, are you going to stick with this rivalry game as your best bet?
Yeah, I think Southern Cal is enough the better team. Plus, we're getting a field goal here, which might even be the difference in the game. So I'm going to stay with Southern Cal. USC rested. Haven't played in 10 days. UCLA coming off a bye, so there shouldn't be any fatigue problems there. I don't know much about the bulletin board material thing. I guess you can, it's great for fodder for these talking heads to talk about. I think we have an overlay here, a little bit of line value, and I'm going to stay with Southern Cal.
All right, my best bet will be on another rivalry game in the Pac-12, but that's going to be the Stanford-Cal game. I see Stanford as being a short number here of 6.5. Amazing that they've had 5 losses this season, but those 5 losses were to top 20 teams. 3 of them were by 3 points. Meanwhile, the wins that they've had beat Army by 35, Washington by 7, Washington State by 17, and Oregon State by 24. They have a superior edge defensively. I think Stanford rolls. And Jeff, you've been on you're off a nice Saturday, another blockbuster winner as well. How can folks get aboard with you this weekend?
Well, first, my best bet won't be either of these 2 games. I'm going to go with
Ohio State, right?
Ohio State.
I'm going to go with Tennessee. Minus points on Missouri, Butch Jones. The young squad seems to be coming of age. I'll go with Tennessee for the best bet on Saturday. Also, I'm going to have my rivalry game of the week this week, plus plays every day on GymFights.com, including NBA college basketball. If you want to, I'll give you 2 weeks for $10. All sports at LVSS. Just call LVSS at 1-866-575-8916, 1-866-575-8916. You get 5-star plays in all sports every day for 2 weeks, just $10.
Okay, and Jim Feist had that big weekend, including that NFL situational game of the year winner with the Arizona Cardinals, as well as that SEC game of the year with the Georgia Bulldogs. Jim is going to have his rivalry game of the year in college football, as well as another NFL high roller release, now a 5-1, 80% run. You can find those plays and more at GymFights.com. That'll do it for the college football edition of Pro Line. For all the gang here in Vegas, we'll see you next week with another edition.